r/NoSleep. Posted by you/already user 49. If you see the faceless boy in your house, ignore him. Final. Please like and subscribe to support us. Thursday, October, 2021. I was thinking about Henry while I was making a cup of coffee. He came to my house, risking his life, just to warn me about the faceless boy. I met him 15 years ago. He was never that loyal friend everyone needs. I wasn't isolated at the time and I was spending way more time talking to other people, including Henry. He used to talk about his achievements. Henry was careless and arrogant. He was always trying to make me jealous. But I never was. Even though he was rich and successful, I didn't think he was actually happy. It felt like he was wearing a mask the entire time, like the real him was kept hidden. And that's what makes me think about things he had done. Why would he do that? Why would he risk his precious life just to warn me? It doesn't make any sense. I took the first sip of my coffee. "What's on your mind?" my wife said as she entered the room. "You're up," I said while still thinking about Henry. Do you think about the thing behind you?" No, I was thinking about Henry," I replied. "Oh. Well, he's a hero?" my wife shrugged. "Did he really die?" My wife was stunned. She didn't expect that question at all. "What do you mean, John?" "Few days after the faceless boy's appearance, you were reading the newspaper. Remember? You told me that everyone in the town died. You told me that Henry lost his face too. Was that really in the newspaper?" My wife didn't say anything. "Was that really in the newspaper, Sarah?" She started to cry. He killed our son. He left the door open. I wanted him to die the same way our son did. I was angry, I was stupid. She answered. "John the First didn't want you to think he was dead, I just wanted to not talk about him anymore. I'm sorry, but Henry didn't die." I dropped my cup. It broke into pieces. The hot coffee was all over the floor and the velvet carpet. No, I answered. "No. Not a hero, Sarah. He's not a hero." What do you mean, John?" she stuttered. I looked at her. I realized. "I'll be back in a few hours," I said while I was putting on my jacket. "You're visiting Henry?" she asked. I didn't answer. "Don't forget your phone," she added. I left the house at 10 a.m. and there was only one place I needed to visit. Henry's home. I was looking at the trees, the leaves, the river as I was walking. The forest we live in is a beautiful place and the sunlight made it look even better. Nature is unreal. I was also thinking about the faceless boy. My wife was in the house with him. We tried moving out, but it didn't work. He was always there. It's like a parasite and we are the hosts. I left the forest 15 minutes later. I was in the street of my town. Again. Nothing had changed. The same old houses, the same streets, the same people, although I forgot everyone's names. I knocked on someone's door to find out Henry's address because he moved out. A middle-aged man opened the door. "Hi, I'm the guy who lives in this forest." I pointed at the forest. "I was wondering if you could give me Henry's address. He used to live here and he's my friend." "Henry Clark?" he replied. I nodded. "Why do you need that fool's address?" "I need to talk to him," I answered. "How's the life going in the woods?" he said while looking for the address in his phone. "It's fine," I lied. "Here. St. Tanu, 2396 St. Mary's Avenue." St. Tanu is 6 miles from here and I didn't have a car. I had to walk. "Thank you very much, and one more thing, can you tell me what exactly happened 8 years ago? Was there any faceless boy in the neighborhood? Did anyone die?" He looked at me, he must have thought I was crazy. "No wonder you live in the woods, you're sick in the head." He closed the door after saying that. I knocked on another door. Similar response. I asked 8 more people about the faceless boy, everybody was confused. I was right. Henry lied to me. And so did my wife. After 3 hours of walking, I entered the Henry's town. I had found the house after 15 minutes of searching. It was big and it looked expensive, with a pool. I approached the white oak door. I knocked. Nothing. I knocked again. Nothing. Henry, open the door, I just want to talk, I yelled. I knocked one more time. Again, nothing. Henry, I know you're home, open the door, I just want to thank you. I didn't want to thank him. I wanted to talk about his lies. Henry, open the door right now or I'm breaking in. I was pissed. I picked up a giant rock from his yard and slammed it against the door. There was a huge hole in the door as an aftermath of that action. I opened the door from the inside and got in. I didn't even know what I was looking for. Henry was obviously not home. I was enraged. His house was neat and clean. There was a mahogany table in the middle of the living room, a huge TV on the wall along with framed paintings. Everything there looked more expensive than my whole house. And yet, I was able to break in using just a rock? No bars, no alarms, no security cameras. He really didn't care. Henry? I yelled. Nothing. I was about to leave when my phone rang. I picked up. Honey? Can you hear me? The faceless boy. It's gone. Where are you? I froze. The faceless boy was here. In the house. In Henry's house. I hung up. After 15 seconds, I heard a scream. Henry was home. He unlocked one of his doors and ran to the living room. At first he didn't notice me, he was only thinking about the faceless boy. Then he turned around. And I was there. Standing behind him. Not the faceless boy, this time, I was the one standing behind. He screamed again. John? I looked at him. He was scared and confused at the same time. You're alive? You're fucking alive? He was yelling. Yeah, Henry. I'm alive, but we need to talk about your lies. Why you brought IT here? You fucking brought IT? He yelled again. And so did you, Henry. But don't worry. You just have to ignore it. Henry was looking at me. I was looking at him. Start talking. You also have a lawyer. I smiled. You son of a bitch, he yelled. The faceless boy was right next to him and I was in front of Henry. You said that everyone died, you said that it was in the newspaper. He didn't say anything. I let out a sigh. Henry took a bottle of spiritus vodka. He sat down in his club chair and I did the same. There's a way to kill it, he said while he was pouring the drink. I was listening. The only way to do it is to set it on fire. That way it will melt, and it will be gone forever. Then why didn't you just do that? Why did you bring it to me? I asked. Because. He took a shot of vodka. He started to cry. Because he's my son. I was shocked. He wanted to look at the boy, but the look on my face told him not to. It all started 9 years ago. My wife and I were traveling with our son in the front seat. The faceless boy. Although he had a face at the time, he was just a normal 12-year-old boy, he continued. I was driving, I was tired, and I closed my eyes for 2 seconds. He took another shot. We crashed into a truck at full speed. That's how he lost his face. In a car accident. I'm sorry to hear that, but it doesn't explain the curse. My son died too, but not in a car crash. I responded. Luckily, me and my wife survived. It was a miracle. He ignored my question. We experienced an emotional roller coaster that night. First I thought I had lost him, then they told me he was alive, and then I saw him. He didn't have a face. They had to remove his nose because of the infection. A rod went through his left eye, his lips were ripped out. The only thing left was his right eye, he said. I was unsettled. My wife was crying. We just wanted our son back. What about the curse? I asked again. 2 weeks after the accident, I was desperate for a solution. I wanted my son's face back. So I started reading everything related to surgeries, face transplants. I had enough money for such surgery. But I wanted his face, not someone else's. And then, one night, I saw an ad in the newspaper. It read, "Repair your body. Call this number, and we'll give you instructions for healing any body part." It sounded too good to be true. So I ignored it, he said. Later that night, I was looking at my son. And I decided to call the number. A lady picked up and I told her about my issue. She answered. There's a way to repair your son's face, but it's not cheap. If you're willing to pay $6,000, let us know. Henry imitated her voice. She gave me the PayPal and I paid. I paid $6,000, John, because I was desperate. I had made a mistake and I was aware of that, he said. Okay, Henry, that was a mistake, but please, tell me about the curse, now. After the payment, she said that I needed 7 candles, epazote, sorrel blonde de lion, calendula oil, pumpkin seeds and bastnasite powder. What the hell is all that? I asked. Herbs, rocks, you know. Something that sounds healthy but it's actually useless. He tried to smile. And you had bought all that? Yeah, she explained the process, so I went shopping after the phone call. I was listening. I was also looking at his furniture while he was talking. His bookshelf was big and books were sorted alphabetically, the Saxony carpet was covering the floor made out of marble and the red cabriole sofa was facing the huge TV. The faceless boy was next to the ribbon fireplace. But then I noticed something that shouldn't be in Henry's house. Something that shouldn't be in anyone's house. On the shelf, there was an eye in a jar. Henry, what's that? I stuttered while pointing at the jar. Oh, that's a pig's eye, you know, I was hunting. He replied. You were hunting pigs? Anything wrong with that? He said. No. It didn't look like a pig's eye, it looked like a human eye. I wanted to tell Henry that it was obviously not a pig's eye, but I needed to hear the faceless boy story. Can you explain the process? I asked. Yeah. This is what she told me. Place 7 candles around the victim's head and light them up. Mix epazote, pumpkin seeds and bastnasite powder with water, then apply on his face. Repeat 3 more times throughout the day, and every 3rd day, apply the mixture of sorrel blonde de lion and calendula oil. If anything's left on the face, remove it. His old face should reappear after 20 days of doing that. What do you mean, if anything's left on the face, remove it? I asked. He looked at me. He didn't say anything for 15 seconds. The right eye. I had to remove it. I was stunned. Yeah, John. I used a spoon. The eye in the jar is actually my son's eye. I wanted to get the hell out of that house. After 2 minutes of silence, I finally said. Did it at least work? No. Turns out, I screwed something up, and I summoned a demon. He answered. She did say something about that though, but I was focused only on my son's possible recovery. Why you summoned a demon? I stuttered. Yeah. I forgot to apply the calendula oil mixture. After making the mistake, I called her and she told me everything I needed to know. About the ignoring, how to kill it, how to get rid of it without having to kill it, etc. I'm guessing you chose not to kill it, I said. I'm sorry, but, he's my son, and I couldn't just set it on fire and watch him die. I couldn't do that, I couldn't watch him die, John. That pissed me off. I jumped out of my chair and punched him. I watched my son die, you piece of shit, you killed him and I watched him die, I yelled. I kept punching him. The blood was all over his expensive floor tiles. You. Punch. Killed. Punch. My. Punch. Son. He passed out. I got up. Again, I was looking at his house. The faceless boy was there the entire time. Henry's home wasn't beautiful anymore. I took the bottle of spiritus vodka, I was pouring it on the floor. I dropped the empty bottle. I looked at Henry one last time. I left the house. I turned around. I pulled out a lighter, and I set the house on fire. Everything was covered in flames. I watched the faceless boy melt, and after all these years, it was finally over. Goodbye, Henry.